Do we buy furniture or furnitures? Or when we learn different things, do we acquire knowledge or knowledges? Which one is it? Welcome to English on the Mark. My name is Marek Pena, and today we will focus on 10 uncountable nouns that many English language learners struggle with. Let's look at the difference between countable and uncountable nouns. I briefly spoke about this in episode 2, so if you haven't watched it yet, go and check it out. Countable nouns are words which can be counted. These nouns have plurals. Therefore, we can use numbers or the indefinite article a or an. For example, the word city is a countable noun. You could say, I live in a city. Or, there are a lot of big cities around the world. The word computer is also countable. You could say, I bought a new computer. Or, my friend has 4 computers at home. In addition, to make a question about a countable noun, we use how many. For example, you could say how many cities or how many computers. Uncountable nouns are things that we cannot count. These could be liquids, like water or milk, or abstract nouns, such as luck, love, or chaos. With these nouns, we do not use numbers, most don't have plurals, and we do not normally use the indefinite article a or an. For example, I drink a lot of water during the day. You cannot say, I drink a lot of waters during the day. He had no luck in life. We cannot say, he had no lucks in life. To make a question about uncountable nouns, we use how much. For example, how much water do you drink during the day? Or, how much luck does he have in life? The problem with uncountable nouns is that some nouns, which are uncountable in English, might be countable in other languages. To determine whether nouns are countable or uncountable, it is necessary to check these words in a dictionary. So here's a list of 10 uncountable nouns that many English language learners struggle with. Number 1. Furniture. Many of my students, after moving to New York City and finding an apartment, would come to class and say, I bought a lot of furniture for my apartment. Since we cannot pluralize the word furniture, they should have said, I bought a lot of furniture for my apartment. The reason why so many students use this word incorrectly is easy to understand. This particular noun is countable in many other languages. Let's look at Portuguese, Spanish, and Polish. And please do correct me if I'm wrong. In Portuguese, the singular form is a mobília, and the plural form is as mobílias. I did speak to some of my Brazilian friends, and they told me that the plural form in Portuguese is not very common, and it is hardly ever used. Nonetheless, it does exist. In Spanish, the singular form is el mueble, and the plural form is muebles. And in a similar fashion, in Polish, the singular form is mebel and the plural form is meble. So if you wish to pluralize the word furniture in English, you need to use a modifying word. For instance, you could say, I bought 5 pieces of furniture. Number 2, hair. So one of my students was late to class because she was caught in the rain without her umbrella. So when she walked into the classroom, she said, I am so sorry, teacher, I'm late. My hair were wet from the rain. So of course I responded, oh, your hair was wet from the rain? But it's dry now. What happened? And she said, oh, I went to the restroom and I used the hand dryer. So she was very resourceful. But please remember, the word hair is uncountable. So do not pluralize that word and do not use plural verbs. For instance, you should say, your hair looks great, but never, your hair look great. Number 3, homework. This is another word that's uncountable. And I've heard this so many times from my students. Teacher, you give us a lot of homeworks. Please remember, the word homework is uncountable. So do not pluralize it and do not use plural verbs with this particular word. So the students should have said, you gave us a lot of homework. Another example could be, your homework is due on Monday. From these examples, you should infer that the word work is also uncountable. Number 4, money. The word money is also uncountable. So one of my students stayed after class and said to me, Teacher, I have worked so hard for the past couple of weeks, but I am very happy because I've made a lot of monies. So of course I responded, I am so happy for you that you've made a lot of money. So please remember, the word money is uncountable. So do not pluralize it and do not use plural verbs. You should say, I have made a lot of money, or money is not important. But you should never say, I have made a lot of monies, or money are not important. Number 5, equipment. So here is another word that's uncountable. The word equipment doesn't have a plural form, and it cannot be used with the indefinite article a or an. So I had students who did some construction work, and they would sometimes say, we use a lot of equipments at work. To talk about an amount of equipment, you can say some equipment or a lot of equipment, but you should never say equipments. So the previous sentence should read, we use a lot of equipment at work. In addition, you should never say an equipment. If you want to talk about equipment in the singular, you should say a piece of equipment. For example, when camping, a flashlight is an essential piece of equipment to have. Number 6, news. So here's another anecdote from one of my classes. A student of mine came in and said, I have a great news. My daughter is coming to New York City. This certainly was great news, but please remember, do not add the indefinite article a before the word news, because the word news is uncountable. So the student should have said, I have great news. Likewise, you should never say, here are some news that might interest you. You should say, here is some news that might interest you. Number 7, information. Just remember this. The word information is always uncountable in English, and you should never say informations. So saying these informations are not accurate is incorrect. You should say this information is not accurate. Number 8. Knowledge. Like the previous words, the word knowledge is uncountable, and you cannot say knowledges. For example, my lessons here on YouTube are designed to help you improve your knowledge and understanding of the English language. Reviewing these lessons will help you gain a lot of knowledge. Number 9. Research. This word can be pronounced as research or research. And this is our penultimate word. Please remember, do not put the indefinite article a in front of the word research. And you should use singular verbs with this particular noun. For example, you should never say conduct a research. You should say conduct research. Likewise, make sure that you use singular verbs. For example, a lot of research has been done. So this word is a bit controversial. The dictionaries list this word as a non-count noun, but they also provide a plural form, researches. One dictionary states that this form is used in British English. Another one says that this form is old-fashioned or archaic. And the third explanation states that we use this form when we discuss different or separate groups of research. And this is the most plausible explanation. However, I will say this. Language changes and develops. But for now, don't worry about the plural form. The word research is uncountable and it should be used as such. And finally, number 10. Believe me, had I collected $1 every single time my students used this word incorrectly, I would be a millionaire now. Okay, maybe not a millionaire, but you get my point. So the last word is advice. So many times my students have said, I need some advices, or this was a good advice, or your advices were very helpful. All of these sentences are incorrect. What you should say is this: I need some advice. This was good advice. And your advice was very helpful. Also, don't confuse the noun advice with the verb advise. The stress in both of these words falls on the second syllable. However, the last sound of the noun advise is the s sound. And the last sound of the verb advise is the z sound. And this brings us to the end of this lesson. The 10 words which we have covered here today are uncountable nouns, they don't have plurals, and they require singular verbs. So which of these 10 nouns are countable in your native language? Please let me know in the comments down below. That's all there is for today. Thank you, and as always, I hope you have learned something today.